Living more minimally can seem like a daunting task at first, even a little cringy, because minimal living comes with this connotation of insufficiency or not having enough. But I assure you, there is a way to live minimally without compromising a good quality of life. But first, you have to get past whatever is holding you back from living a minimal life. Here are 3 things that help me to live a more minimal life, but also to be okay in doing so. Number 1, Jesus Christ. I don't need all the things being sold to me. Neither do you. Now, this wasn't overnight, it wasn't immediate, and it absolutely took some soul searching and commitment before I began to see things for what they are. Now, I love capitalism as much as the next consumer, but I also had to be honest about how easily I was sold on everything from clothes to supplements, shoes. If I saw it and it was carefully presented enough, oh, I was buying it. But where did that leave me? Well, always seeking more than what I had and never being appreciative of the things that I did own. That led to a long journey of wasted money and resources because I was buying things that I did not need and eventually just lost appreciation for and ended up giving it away or selling it for a price significantly less than what I purchased it for. So rightfully so, you may be wondering, what does all of this have to do with God? Well, it just took for me to realize that no amount of items that I bought could fill the void of joy and peace that was missing from my life. Why was I buying all of these things? Because I felt like I needed them. But why did I feel that way? Because I was not at peace or content with my life. I always felt like if I just had this, or I just need to be able to do this. When the truth is, like many of us, I've always had everything that I needed to sustain myself. But again, I, like many of us, spend too much time envisioning my ideal self and never being content with where I am with what I have. And it wasn't until I rested in the love of Jesus Christ that I was able to accept that. Although there are things that I obsessively desire, it's just my weak flesh acting in the way that it does. But my actual spirit craves none of it. To break it down even more, I learned the difference between what my spirit craves and what my flesh craves. The flesh wants money. The spirit wants love and security. The flesh wants to have all the latest gadgets, clothing, trinkets, so that we can look good, so that we can appeal to other people. But the soul wants to be accepted. The flesh spends money on retail therapy so that we can mask our feelings of inadequacy in the spirit. I came to understand that most of the time, I was living to fulfill my flesh and to fill a void that could only be filled with the love of Jesus Christ. That simple realization made it easy to let go, and the truth will do that. Now, I'm not saying that I never buy anything, but I have escaped the need to purchase unnecessary items that would only feed my ego and fill space, but do nothing for me spiritually. Items that hold no real value or purpose for me. Step 2 was seeing where I spent my money. Now, this isn't budgeting because, quite honestly, that's just never been a thing that I did consistently or extensively. But actually seeing things that I tossed out, sold, got rid of after spending my money on it. The act of decluttering and being faced with the task of deciding what to keep and what to toss can humble you like nothing else. Just imagine decluttering and finding more than half of the items haven't even been used in over a year, and close to 10% of it was never used, ever. Talk about money going down the drain. Going through that process of touching every item you own, then deciding if it's useful or not, it will take time, but it's a quick way to make you more aware of your spending habits, which is the first step to decreasing clutter and impulse buying so as to live more purposefully and minimally. First, you're shocked, then anxious, then exhausted, then defeated. Then, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You'll find yourself owning less than you ever have, but you'll feel so light and free. Now, what you do in the moment of feeling light and free is what determines if you will actually continue to live minimally or if you'll relapse. But there's no way to be unmoved by seeing and touching everything that you own. One way to take advantage of being forced to declutter is also moving. I remember my mom mentioning to me that whenever she moves, she hates herself for buying and accumulating so much because then she has to pack all these useless and miscellaneous things just to unpack them and not use them again. But that's exactly what happens when you do an extensive declutter over the course of 30 to 60 days. You'll realize that there's just so much that you own that has no real use or value to you, and it's consequently just taking up space. 3, fill my life with meaning. Living minimally is not to be confused with living an uneventful and destitute life. I love experiences. I love to travel. I love to go to events and create memories. It's the souvenirs, trinkets, and useless accumulated things that I despise. So, what I tend to focus on is remembering the things that I can allocate funds for instead of saying that I save money. So I never think of, oh, I'll save money by not buying this, but instead I think, I can use this money to do this instead. Now, this may seem simple and juvenile, but it's worth a try. Saving money to me is arbitrary. Most of us are saving money, and for what exactly? When we cannot see the things that we are saving for, then saving becomes useless. Now, that's not financial advice. It's obviously wise to save money in general. But I mean, the idea of saving $5 a day, for instance, on coffee is more appropriately stated as $5 reallocated for something else. If you've been getting that $5 coffee every day, but can no longer afford to get your hair done, then instead of saying you'll save $35 per week, you can just say that you'll use $70 every 2 weeks to get your hair done instead of buying coffee daily. And I actually did this. I started buying supplies to make my coffee at home, and took my coffee budget and reallocated it to a particular adventure with my kids every 2 weeks. And let me tell you, it's worth it. But it's not something I would have done if I had just said I would save up enough money to do it. Because no, I wouldn't. The same goes for shopping. I haven't shopped leisurely in a very long time. And as a result, I don't spend the extra $100 to $200 per month that I used to on maintaining my wardrobe. But I don't count that as money that was saved. It's just additional resource money that allow me to enjoy certain things that my spending habits prevented me from doing so before. This is not budgeting advice, but it does take proper analyzing. For instance, I drive an older car with no car note, and I'm okay with that because I'm in no hurry to have a car note eat up $400 to $500 of my money every single month. And again, I recognize that I'm not saving $400 or $500 a month by not buying a car. I'm simply allowing more meaning into my life by having the additional $400 to $500 I'm not spending on a car note. And I'm just taking that money and using it for something that I deem more meaningful. So take the time to analyze what experiences meaningful aspects of life you would prefer to add. And don't focus so much on what it is you may be depriving yourself of. These are all small steps that you can start today, right now even, in order to get closer to being more comfortable with living minimally. Thanks for watching.